I think meditation is the most streamlined, safest way to go to the same places. It's just admittedly, um, what ayahuasca can do for you is reliable and instantaneous. Like if you drink that cup, you're going to get a glimpse beyond the veil, and it can be very, very jarring for you. That's why if you go back into many spiritual traditions, almost all, I mean, look at Michael Crowley's book, The Secret Drugs of Buddhism. You know, they used psychedelics as well. Actually, many religions started using, and in their origin and before they became the names that we know today, Jainism, Buddhism, Taoism, Zoroastrianism, Christianity, Judaism, all these, like the Native American religions, indigenous from around the world, psychedelics were their sacrament. So there is something ancient, there is something very, very sacred, and I don't use that word just as a throw around word, like sacred as in they've been held in these containers, used in very specific ways for a very, very long time, which is why I've always gone to the indigenous containers that have been around for 10,000 years rather than the Johns Hopkins that's been around for like maybe 20, 30, years less. So with that being said, I don't suggest that people do or recommend that people do psychedelics. I only recommend that people listen to what's calling them. If plant medicines are calling you, then do your research. You can reach out to people who've done it, find the safest way and the best group to go do plant medicines within, and listen to all of the instructions. If it's ayahuasca and they recommend doing dieta and you're like, yeah, I don't need to go on a diet, go on the diet. They haven't been doing this for 10,000 years for no reason, and probably longer than 10,000 years. And some believe only a couple thousand years, but there are some accounts of people saying that, at least anecdotally, it's at least 10,000 years in the Amazon. So, and this is going back to like Graham Hancock type of history, not, modern conventional history. So with that being said, be your own guide on how to find yourself in a group. And then once you're in that group, you're going to have to surrender, because if you say yes to that cup, once you drink it, there's no undrinking it. It's going to be the next 4 to maybe even 6 hours of your life. So you have to be really, really careful about that. That's why I don't recommend it, because if I recommend it, then people might feel like, well, I'm doing this because, Ben said it might be a good idea. And then in their mind, if they have a terrible experience, which a lot of people do, because they're thinking, this can't be right, I shouldn't be having this experience, this is bad what I'm experiencing, and we have all these labels and categories. Then once we firmly place this experience of us dealing with things that we haven't brought up to the surface for decades or eons, if you will, then we'll just be like, well, this wasn't my responsibility, it was Ben's. Ben was the one who said this was a good idea, so now I'm cutting Ben off. And it's not like I'm doing this because I hope people don't cut me off. I could care less about that. I want people to heal. And what we're actually dealing with in this world is a very sick society. Even those who are very well adjusted, like Krishnamurti said, it is no measure of wellness or health to be well adjusted to a sick or insane society. And this is very true. If you can get along in today's world, it doesn't mean you're not healthy, but it definitely means that you've probably had to endure some kind of trauma. So plant medicines like ayahuasca is going to bring this to the surface. The one thing that I will say is the reason why meditation and other forms like breath work, other practices can bring you to the same space is for what you mentioned. I made a film called DMT Quest. That's an organization that is not focused on smoking DMT or other kinds of DMT. It's all focused on how we produce DMT in our brain anyway. Quick fun fact. We produce serotonin. We produce, norepinephrine. We produce dopamine and stuff like that at major levels to where, oh, these are major neurotransmitters. DMT, oh, it must just be this trace amount because our pineal gland is so small. It's actually not proven that it's produced in the pineal gland. It's proven that it's produced in the choroid plexus in mice. So we still don't know very much, but we can surmise. We know it's produced in human brains. We know that. We know it's produced in the human body. We're almost certain that it's produced in the choroid plexus, which produces our cerebrospinal fluid, and it's always bathing our brain at all times. It's detectable in levels comparable to serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine, meaning it's likely a major, very functional neurotransmitter, meaning DMT is probably part of the way we decode reality. We're always on DMT. So what LSD, psilocybin, and ayahuasca, which has DMT in it, probably do is upregulate the free-floating amounts of DMT and cause the receptor sites to be open to it more. That's what the MAOIs, the monoamine oxidase inhibitors inside the vine of ayahuasca, allows for the DMT to do, is to pass through the gut and pass through the liver so it can make it through the gut-brain or the blood-brain barrier. So we're always on DMT. We're always holding. It's quite illegal, if you ask me. What's interesting about this is we always have access to this. And if we want to upregulate it, we don't need to do plant medicines. It's just the most reliable way. And this is why I believe there actually is a cosmic secret society. And they, like, as I say, it's me anthropomorphizing it. There's this understanding that at this stage, we're so deep inside of our human delusion that we need radical interventions. And from the plant medicine or from the plant kingdom, these specific ambassadors of the plant kingdom, these psychedelics, these serotonergics that hit very specific receptors in the brain, serotonin 2A receptors, they open up the floodgates between the brainstem and the neocortex, the more modern brain. And they cause for all the things that we are able to shove down inside ourselves and not be conscious of in our subconscious, it causes for that to start circulating and coming to the surface. What that says to me is that is the release valve for an increasing amount of collective ego pressure. And it's allowing for and causing us to see what we're not seeing. It's literally the apocalypse, because the apocalypse is the lifting of the veil. It's the being able to now see what was once hidden before.